Good morning and a warm welcome to Ask the Expert. Ask the Expert is an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses just like you. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments of the live feed. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group here on Facebook, and accountants and business experts just like myself are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage and I'll reveal the results at the end. Okay then, so who am I? Well, my name is Aaron Patrick, and as always, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm a chartered accountant, a QuickBooks certified trainer with a fancy new logo, so don't be afraid to ask me any QuickBooks related questions. I also own a state-of-the-art accounting firm called Buffix, which uses the best in cloud technology available to help small businesses just like you get crucial real-time information at their fingertips. If you require accountancy advice, payroll, bookkeeping services, and now even QuickBooks Online training, then please do get in touch. We don't want small businesses just to survive, but to thrive. I also have a dedicated QuickBooks YouTube channel called Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chat. So if you need any more QuickBooks news and advice, then why not go over and give the channel a follow. Okay, enough about me, and let's focus on today's session. As always, this session is all about you and your burning questions. If you have any questions, then please use any of our social channels to get in touch. So while we wait for the first of the questions to arrive, let's go back to the whole of the VAT issues that I touched on last time I was here on Ask the Expert and have a bit of a recap, but at the same time, just filling in a few of those gaps as well. So the way that VAT is handled for online sales from business worldwide to consumers, that's B2C for anyone in the know, in the European Union, or EU as I'm going to call it from going forward, changed on the 1st of July 2021. And it's really important that if you sell to the EU, that you know about these changes. So the changes can be utilised by businesses outside the EU, including the UK, and they're commonly referred to as the EU VAT e-commerce package. And the two key components that we're going to talk about today is the one-stop shop, the OSS, and the import one-stop shop, the IOSS. So what does this mean for you and your business? Well, let's have a chat about it and find out. So, first of all, what are the new EU VAT e-commerce measures? Well, the goal of the EU VAT e-commerce legislation is to make life much, much, much easier for those who e-commerce. Business selling to consumers, should I say, across the EU's national borders, and therefore for facilitating trade. Any business that have been using the mini one-stop shop, so referred to as the MOS, for certain kind of digital services will already know the benefits of this kind of simplification. And the new measures extend effectively the MOS by opening it up to more services and also goods, including those imported into the EU, thereby potentially simplifying VAT for many more kinds of sales. So if you've heard of the MOS at all, if that's anything you've come across, then the OSS and the IOSS are going to be something that you'll be familiar with. It should be noted that from the start that neither the OSS or the IOSS are mandatory, but as an alternative, businesses can register for then both account for VAT in each of the EU countries that they sell to consumers. But as obvious, that's going to be a right nightmare in terms of administration. And of course, is one of the reasons why OSS and IOSS was created, to try and simplify that. If you think about having to complete a separate VAT return for every single EU country that you sell an item to, you're going to find yourself in a lot of difficulty. It should also be noted that one of those VAT measures are limited to online sales in consumers to EU, and businesses to business, so that's B2B, sales from a business in the UK to a business in the EU country continue as they have following the end of the Brexit transition period, which is to say that B2B sales of services are generally subject to that reverse charge. Exports of goods should be zero rated and then subject to tax in the destination country through the application of import VAT. So why mention OSS and iOS if nothing seems to have changed? Well, it's to make sure that you have the opportunity to simplify that process. So let's start on that one-stop shop, that OSS to begin with. This is the new online portal for businesses by which non-domestic VAT can be reported and paid for supplies of services and online inter-community community distant rules of goods and business consumers across the EU. So if you think about it, it's a way where instead of having to do those individual VAT returns, you get the opportunity to do one VAT return that covers the whole of the EU. And then there's the import one-stop shop, which I think is the one that's the most beneficial, the IOSS, the one that's going to affect most businesses out there, especially people listening to today's stream. So IOSS, again, is optional. So make sure that you remember that it's not unnecessary to go down this route if you don't want to. And it's not used. And again, it is not used, then a UK seller would continue to sell zero rate and export for domestic VAT purposes, and the VAT is applied upon import. And if you think about that from the consumer point of view, from the customer, that means they're going to get that little slip through the post saying that they have to pay import duty on whatever it is you're trying to sell them. However, IOSS offers a way of accounting for VAT to reduce the confusion for customers. In that, they can see a single accurate cost. It should also help expedite movement of goods across national borders, because it's going to be so much quicker than having to wait for that end consumer to pay or not pay in some circumstances, and that item has to be returned. However, it only applies to online sales that are B2C, so that's business to consumer. And administratively, the scheme is very similar to the OSS in that the seller signs up and uses the IOSS and has a single online portal to report and pay VAT, so no having to record in each of those individual VAT territories, although this is done monthly rather than quarterly. IOSS can be used only for consignment of €150 or £130 and below, or the equivalent local currency in the consumer's country, so only for items below that threshold. And if the seller chooses to register for and use IOSS, then VAT of the destination country is again charged and collected by the seller at the point of sale. So instead of the seller having to worry about that import duty later down the line, they will choose to pay for that VAT upfront. They know exactly how much that item's going to cost them, and you as the end business will then collect that VAT and pay it to the individual countries via that IOSS online portal. Just also be aware that there is an abolishment of the low value consignment relief, or otherwise known as the LVCR, and imports of goods less than $22 or £20 are no longer exempt from import VAT. VAT must be charged on all goods, whether that will be via import VAT at point of entry or at point of sale by the seller where the IOSS is used. However, remember, there is only available to B2C consignments worth €150 or £130 or less. The measure has been implemented to level the playing field between domestic and non-domestic sellers who have seen to be an unfair advantage when selling goods below that €22 or £20. And however, while low value goods imported into the EU now incur VAT, sellers can use the iOS to help smooth the administration of the resulting VAT. So remember, the most important thing there is no opportunity now to send over those low value goods without any import VAT complications, but the IOSS is by far the best way to make sure that you make it really easy for your sellers to get their goods. On online marketplaces, deemed supply rules. So this is when you're using Amazon, eBay, Etsy, any of those sort of things. This is where it gets different. This is where I think will affect even more of the businesses that are talking here. So the new rules also mean that so-called electronic interface marketplaces and platforms such as Amazon and eBay are the deemed supplier for VAT purposes in certain cases when distance selling to EU customers. This affects sellers who use sites such as the marketplaces of eBay and Amazon and platforms, but it could also affect smaller businesses such as online antique retailers or dealers and items who sell on behalf of clients. The marketplaces will run these schemes, but you'll need to be extra careful about sending over those exports, as if you don't use the correct numbers on the actual export itself. So when sending the actual export from the UK to the EU, if you don't put the right numbers on that consignment, on that report itself to say that the customer has already paid the VAT, then what can happen is the customer can then have to pay import duty on top of that as well. Effectively, they'll be paying that VAT twice, which, as you can imagine from a customer point of view, isn't going to go down too well. So there's a lot to take in there. Again, there's 3 different areas that are really going to affect you. If you're using online marketplaces, they're going to deal with that on your behalf, but it is going to be a bit of a minefield in terms of sending that information over. And if you are not using those online marketplaces and you're sending stuff yourself, Remember, there's no more £22 or €22, should I say, £20 consignment limit anymore. That's been abolished. So everything you send is going to have that import duty on. You can either send it and let the customer have to have the import duty information sent to them and they have to pay it that way, or you can make their life easier by using the IOSS opportunity, where then you fill in one VAT return and get that there. Now, again, there's a lot to take in there. I've done plenty of videos on these particular subjects. Head over to Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, and also Bofix as well, for those YouTube channels where we go through them in a lot more detail. And also, we're going to be putting some videos out soon about how this interacts with QuickBooks, how you can use QuickBooks to make your life easier when dealing with this. All right, there is a lot to take in. So let's go to the favorite part of the show, my favorite part, should I say, and that's our first question of the day. Remember, if you have any burning questions whatsoever, then please do get in touch and use the comment section, the live part of this video, to get your questions over to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer those accordingly. Get yourself involved. All right, then. So let's have a look at the first couple of questions that have appeared. So Sylvie on Twitter DM asked the following question. What is the right way to set the price of my services? I'm a design consultant. I'm planning to start freelancing. What a great question. And this is a question when you first start in business that you will be asking yourself time and time again. And if I'm completely honest, it's a question that doesn't really go away anytime soon. Even, more established businesses are still always having to think about their prices. When you think about it, most of the time it's that price that's going to make or break the opportunity for you to get whatever piece of work that you're trying to do, whatever service you're trying to sell, whatever goods that you're trying to sell. So price has to be something that you keep an eye on. Also, remember that at this point in time, with everything that's going on, a lot of businesses or a lot of consumers are very, very price sensitive. So you need to keep that in mind. Is there a way of adding some extra value to that service? Is there a way of making that value look more appealing? Whatever you can do, when we're in a position like we are now, when people are price sensitive, we need to be very savvy in the way that we offer our prices. But the right way to price your services, there is no right or wrong way. Unfortunately, every single business out there is going to be different. Every single business is going to be offering different values, different services, different USPs, different opportunities, different ways in which they can have the business. And that's why it's so good for end consumers and businesses alike to be able to find opportunities to take on services like yourself. Now, the way I would highly recommend that you go about pricing your services, though, is by just being completely upfront and honest on those first couple of transactions. Ask your potential new, consumers, your potential new clients. Ask them, how did they feel the price was? What was it something they were expecting? Were they expecting higher? Were they expecting lower? Using that bit of feedback is going to be invaluable to you going forward. And also look at your competition as well. If there's an opportunity for you to see what else people are selling those services for, use that as a great way of being able to benchmark against your current price point. One thing you don't want to do, though, is just lowball it completely just to get all the work in. You'll just find that that's not sustainable, and you'll end up having not having valued clients, and it will cause you issues going forward. So you do need to be firm on your prices, but at the same time, you just need to make sure that you're getting the right information in to be able to make sure that they're realistic. It really is a difficult question, a difficult topic to cover, because it is such a vast area of opportunity there, and especially with the fact that design and consulting is going to be something that is going to have a lot of opportunity there for not only for you as a freelancer, but now these online marketplaces like Fiverr and those sort of things are going to be competing against you as well. And you're not going to be able to compete on price alone against those particular services. So again, that's where it's all about value added. It's about making sure that whatever it is you're offering, whatever service and solution that you're offering for a client and for the end consumer, that they are getting value for their money. And as long as you're putting value on that, as long as you're adding value to your services, then you can definitely make sure that you're selling much more competitively priced compared to, again, those online services like Fiverr or People Per Hour, whatever service that you're looking to do. It's a really competitive world out there, but as long as you stick to your guns and you believe in whatever product, whatever service you're selling, then you'll be able to learn and be able to understand just by taking information from PNCs, from other people and just be able to make sure that you can price accordingly. So good luck out there. Fingers crossed for you though. There's nothing better than finally nailing it, understanding your prices, making sure that you're comfortable and confident in them, because that will ultimately lead to more sales, because you'll be able to have that conversation with PNTs on a much more down-to-earth level. So good luck with it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you're able to sort that out. Amrit on Facebook Messenger asks, just set up a new business checking account and got a cash reward for meeting some requirements. How should we categorize this in QuickBooks? Someone suggested credit card reward, but it's just a sign-up bonus and we don't have a line of credit at the moment. So Amrit from Facebook Messenger is basically asking, what do we do with bonuses that we've received from our bank account? Now, first of all, just making sure, you did say that is a business checking account, so that's perfect. But do make sure that it is a business account from day one. It could be one of these where you're getting a cash reward, but it's actually based on your personal circumstances. So, credit cards and things like that, when you get your points and all that sort of stuff. If they're personal, necessarily you don't need to worry about them unless you are using that card for purely business use, then you don't need to worry about any of the bonuses that come through. But the fact that this is a business one, then we just need to include it as a form of basically reward. And the fact that they've said there that they could call it as, you can call it what you want to call it. The idea of putting it on there as a sign-up bonus or a card reward, or, you can, if you wanted to, include it as additional interest if you really want to. Now, from a tax point of view, it's probably not the best place to put it, but if it's not for too much money, you'll probably be absolutely fine based on your current circumstances. All you need to do is make sure that you are including it, because if you don't, your bank's basically not going to reconcile and no one wants that. So just make sure you're including it as some form of other income, have it included there. Again, call it what you want to call it. The most important thing I always tell people when they look to do their bookkeeping and QuickBooks and everything else is what you call a category, what name you're going to put towards a category. The most important person who is ever going to read that information is you yourself. So if you're putting into a category that makes sense, if you're putting into a category that's going to be meaningful to your business, then you've done the right thing. When it comes to filing tax returns and passing it to accountants and everything else, A, if you are using an accountant, it's their job to put it into the right area. B, if you are doing it yourself, then most of the time the software itself will help you. QuickBooks itself does have a back end where you can call it whatever you want. You just need to make sure that it's in its correct subcategory. So other income, put it in there, you'll be absolutely fine. Call it what you need to, and you'll be able to make sure that it's been put into the right area. No problem whatsoever. Fingers crossed on that one for you. And good job on getting yourself a nice little reward on your bank account as well, because not all bank accounts offer them. Omar on Instagram DM asks, I primarily use Amazon to sell my products and I do occasionally get sales in Europe. Is there anything I need to look at OSS or IOSS? Great question there, Omar. Basically, no, Amazon itself is going to be dealing with a lot of those items for you. It's going to be Amazon that's going to be the one that's going to be dealing with the equivalent of IOSS. So they're going to be running their own IOSS scheme. And you as the seller are basically going to be piggybacking off that particular one, which is fantastic news for you. That basically means that when you sell an item, so the key thing here is you just need to be really careful on when you put that item up for sale on that marketplace. Because when you sell an item, if you are VAT registered in the UK, you need to be showing the net value so that then Amazon can add on the VAT if you're in the UK, or add on whatever equivalent VAT is going to be in the European countries. And you want to be making sure you're always putting that net figure. If for whatever reason you opted to put the gross figure in, then in the UK you should still see the same figure based on how you put that information in. So you wouldn't see any problems in the UK. But if you think about it from the EU side of things and a potential EU customer looking at your prices, if you've put a gross figure in and then Amazon have added on VAT on top of that, then you're going to be making your prices look extremely expensive and you're probably going to price yourself out of the market. So you just need to be careful about when you put those items onto the marketplace, making sure that you are putting net of VAT in there. Let Amazon work out how much VAT needs to be added on. Let Amazon work out how much VAT needs to be added on in the UK as well, if you are VAT registered. And then what that will do for you then is make sure that your prices are competitive, because then anyone from the EU looking at your items outside of the the UK will see the price of that item plus whatever VAT they have in their country. If they do then go to buy that item, Amazon will collect that VAT on your behalf. They will then put that VAT to one side, and they will then submit that over to HMRC using their IOSS. The only thing to remember, though, as I tried to allude to when I was talking about the intro, is when you send that item from the UK to the EU, just be very, very mindful of whatever Amazon is telling you to include on the actual sales items. So when they are telling you to include this particular shipping label and put this shipping label on and etc., be very, very careful to follow those instructions, because the worst thing that can happen, or if you think about what's happened here, your customer has already paid for VAT in their end area. So whatever country they lived at, they've paid VAT based on that particular value, based on their rate of VAT. Now, if you don't put all of the information onto that package when you send it from the UK to EU, what could happen is that item could be flagged as having to also have import charge. So that means that your customer not only have paid VAT at the time of buying the item, well, they may also have to pay import charges as well if you don't follow to the letter of the law how to actually send that item. Because what you want to be doing is sending that item with all of the information based on it, which tells customs that this item has already had its VAT paid for, therefore can flow through the system, go straight to that customer quicker, and meaning that they won't get an additional charge for it. So overall, this is where this solution actually is a benefit to consumers. When they go to buy that item, they're actually buying that item, and they can then know and they can understand that that's actually going to be their final fee. They don't have to worry about import duty later down the line, and then they can carry on buying the item from there. So it is definitely a good thing for consumers. It just means for us as businesses, we just need to be mindful of the way forward. And do also remember that from a VAT point of view as well, we've got that zero rated VAT going forward on your sale, because it's going to be put in extra. Okay, so Kathy on Twitter DM asks, can you explain how one-stop shop in Europe works again? Are there any key differences between the countries you can register in, or is it the same in the end? Great question there, Kathy. So just remember what one-stop shop is all about. Instead of you having to individually put VAT in those individual European countries. So if you are selling to multiple countries within the EU, straight away this is a worthwhile endeavor for you, because what you have to do now, because of the taking away of all of the reselling thresholds and everything else, is the fact that it doesn't matter how much you sell to EU, you've got to be mindful of their VAT policies. And if you go and sell to Germany, Spain, France, and if you don't use one-stop shop, you're going to have a different VAT registration in each one of those individual countries and abide by their VAT rules, their VAT administration policies, when they need to submit the VAT and everything else. And you're going to have to monitor and administrate each and every one of them. One-stop shop, though, the whole idea of that is instead of having those individual VAT registrations, you don't need to have the individual ones. You just need to have the one item, the one return to include. And on that return, you'll be saying that you've sold X amount to Spain, X amount to Germany, X amount to France. But instead of having to individually register in each and every one of those states, you'll just be filling in that one return. Now, you do have to have or opt for one of those countries to basically represent your application and have that option there. So you do need to do a bit of research on which one's going to be the best for you. There's no real difference other than kind of language barriers and making sure that you have access to that particular online portal and all those sort of considerations. But the one-stop shop will be the same in each and every country. So find something that works for you and go from there. And then basically once you've got yourself registered, once everything's all included, then at that point, you're going to have the opportunity to be able to make the most of it. So good luck with it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's all making sense. It is a bit of a complicated area. Again, I've done videos on it. So if you are still confused, have a look at my videos, both on my personal channel and Patrick QuickBooks Chat, or on the Bofix YouTube channel. And then hopefully then you'll be able to get the right information to make sure that your business isn't affected. But it is one of those things where you do have the opportunity, or it's not mandatory, should I say. So, this is completely your choice. If you want to go down the one-stop shop options, but the benefit of that is huge for your consumer and for your customers. So it could be a well worthwhile, and it's going to be one of those things where it could make or break someone buying from your platform or buying from your store, because if they're going to have they're going to have complications down the line in terms of imports, duties, and it's going to take longer for it to get there because it's got to pass through customs and all that sort of stuff, then this is where the actual end consumer benefits massively from you taking on this extra scheme, although there's administrations that go with it. Robbie on Facebook Messenger asks the following question. Hopefully that helps for you, by the way, Kathy. Robbie asks on Facebook Messenger, I'm self-employed and got COVID a few weeks ago. Apologies for that one. Hopefully you're better now. I've been told I'm not eligible for the COVID track and trace support scheme, as technically I was still at work, even though I was so well I was unable to work and lost income. What circumstances make you eligible for support? Is there anything else I can claim for? Well, there's definitely other items you can claim for, but when it comes to the actual track and trace support scheme, unfortunately, they have just certain criteria, and if you don't pass those criteria, it's all over. Now, when it comes to actually applying for the scheme itself, it is just a case of answering those questions honestly and putting them through from there. And one of those questions is, can you work from home, even if you aren't physically or not able to work from home? That's one of the questions that get asked. And basically, from your point of view, unfortunately, if you haven't passed those criteria, then really that's the end of that conversation. But when it comes to other opportunities around for you, well, you've got self-employed income support scheme. We've got Grant 5 coming up soon. So do make sure that you look into that one. Being self-employed as well, you've also got the opportunities of still technically possibly looking at bounce back loans, although most of them have ceased by now, but there is an opportunity of looking at items like that. But yeah, I think from your point of view, it's the self-employed income support scheme that's going to be your best options. Talk to your bank as well, see if they've got any other opportunities for maybe enhancing credit thing to get you to the point of the self-employed income support scheme being paid out. And then also there's the opportunities for looking at your local authorities. So if you look at your council website, have a look on there, that itself. There's a lot of funding available to small businesses at the moment, and depending on which council that you're with, so which local authority that you have at the point, depends on what eligibility, what criteria they're looking for, all manner of things. Each one of them are running their own individual schemes, but you should be able to find that there'll be at least something available to there. My advice on that one is always to, first of all, have a look at the website, see if anything comes up. And if not, just make sure that you go and give someone a call over there, talk them through your circumstances, and they'll be able to push you in the right direction. So fingers crossed on that one. Hopefully, Robbie, you'll be able to sort something out pretty soon. But yeah, make sure that you get that self-employed income support scheme if you're eligible. Talk to the local authorities about anything that's available. And then worst case scenario, talk to your bank and see if there's anything they can do in terms of giving you credit to at least get you past the difficult times. All right. With that, then, that is the end of today's Ask the Expert. As always, it's absolutely flown by. We were asking you to conduct a poll or get involved in a poll during the time. So the poll results are in, and we asked you the following question. Do you do business in Europe? And 100% of you said yes, which is great news. 0% of you said no, and 0% answered you've been put off. So that's great news, and especially given the fact that, you know, with this new iOS and OSS instructions coming in, the whole idea is it's supposed to level the playing field. It's supposed to make it so that you as a seller to the EU are not more attractive or less attractive than a seller who is in that person's actual country. And the idea then is it should open up opportunities for us as sellers, as business owners in the UK, to be able to do more work within the European Union. And that's got to be a good thing. I mean, the amount of money available to us, the amount of opportunities for us businesses there is immense. And the more straightforward we can make that, the better it's going to be. So it's only left for me to say thank you, and a massive thank you that is, for tuning in this morning. If you want to get in contact with me, then please send me a message at hello@boffix.com. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Toby Milden, a diversity inclusion consultant and founder of Milden. That is definitely something that I will be tuning in tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to his talk tomorrow. So tune in to find out how your business can build a culture of inclusion for your teammates. And I don't think it's been a better time for us to start considering that and making sure that we've got that absolutely spot on. A reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountant and business experts just like myself are on hand 24/7, so do get yourself involved. I really enjoyed answering your questions this morning. Have a great day, and I'm sure I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.